Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, March 8th, 2021 Economic Development Committee. We're holding this meeting by Zoom or by actually GoToMeeting, and it's a virtual meeting as per the governor's orders. Our first order of business tonight is a call to order and then the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're just going to have some introductions under new business on the agenda. We'd just like to go around and introduce each one of us to each other because we're meeting for the first time. My name's John Stambrook. I am the town administrator here in Hanson. I've been here for a year and 2 months. And this is the first meeting that we've had to try to get rolling here. Just thank you all the volunteers and the people that are and selectmen and our town planner for coming here and joining in on this meeting. I think it's important, and I think we're going to do good things together. We're going to throw it over to Selectman Kemet.
My name is Laura Kemet, Laura Fitzgerald Kemet. It depends on the day. I've been thinking about this for so many years. One of the reasons why I ran for selectman was I really was getting sick and tired of driving by Main Street and cringing or taking different routes so that I didn't have to see the blight that was on Main Street. And I think it has so much potential. And I really think that if we get a group of like-minded individuals together, that we can accomplish something. And so I'm really looking forward to this. Also, as a small business owner myself, I know that there is a good community of business owners in Hanson, and I think a lot of them are looking for support. And so I'm really excited to have this committee kicking off. So thanks. I don't know who you want me to turn it over to next.
Perhaps Mr. Geronitis.
Hi, I'm Jim Geronitis, and this month makes me a 30-year resident of the town. I've lived here 28 of those 30 years. Somewhere in the middle, I rented it for a while, a couple of years. I'm retired. This is my second stint in working with town government. Early on in the late 90s, I was on the Capital Improvement Committee. Unfortunately, I was traveling a lot for business back then, and Mary Lou Sutton didn't like that and didn't want to do technology like teleconferences. So I stepped out and I did a lot of athletics. So I've done Little League. I did both girls and boys basketball. I was a 20-year coach over at Silver Lake for boys basketball too. So I'm just looking forward to jumping in. It's a great town, has potential, and yeah, Main Street is pretty ugly.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kadali.
Hello, everyone. This is Kiran Kadali. I've been in Hanson for slightly over 3 years now. It's been an incredible stay. We moved away from the city, more for the suburb lifestyle, and we've been loving it since we moved. I think like everyone else mentioned, I see great potential in this town to do better. I always have been connected with the community. I've been serving in the Army Reserves for over 6 years now. And I see, similar contribution that I could give to the community here. Some of the challenges that I've been listening both from the budget standpoint and some development efforts, I think, as a team, we all could help the town to do better from bringing in new businesses and, growing in terms of the development. So looking forward to work with you all.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Petty, town planner.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm Debbie Petty. I'm the planner. I've been with the town of Hanson since January of 2018. I am excited. One of the things I is under my purview is economic development and of course Main Street. So since I've been with the town, I've been trying to work on Main Street and create a downtown sort of atmosphere down there. So I am really excited to have a committee to come on board with some new ideas and some extra energy. I'm really looking forward to it. I think we can do great things. There is a ton of potential in Hanson. Hanson's an awesome little town. It reminds me of my hometown, and I really am looking forward to getting something done.
Okay, thank you. And then Mr. Bathalon.
Hi all, my name is Dan Bathalon. I've been in Hanson for about 4 years now. I also coach in the town. I do girls basketball. I've done soccer. I'm originally from New Hampshire. We've moved around throughout the state of Massachusetts, most recently in Pembroke. And it just seems like Pembroke and Hanson were a very tight-knit community. Nice small town. The South Shore is amazing. That's why we picked this area. And I see a lot of the great things that some of the other towns have. And I just think that now living in Hanson, there's no reason why Hanson can't have those things. I've never been one who's too into politics and all of that good stuff, but being a little bit more involved with the budget issues that came up with the school committee last year and hearing some of the stuff with friends and on social media and stuff, I never like to be the person to complain about anything. I like to try and solve issues and get creative. And if you're looking for energy, Deb, I got plenty of that, so I'll try to bring that to the team as well. So I'm just looking forward to doing what we can and revitalizing Hanson.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for your input and you're introducing yourselves to everyone. I think we're going to work well together again, like I said before. So moving on to the next thing on the agenda is the organization of the committee. Usually committees have a chair and then a vice chair and then a clerk. So the way it normally works is you put out nominations for chair of the committee, and then someone will second that nomination. If there are more than one nomination, then we'll have a vote going back and forth, depending on how many people want to put in for different positions on the committee. So I guess my first thing is to say, do I hear any nominations for chair of the Economic Development Committee for a term to expire on, what do you think, Laura, June 30th? No, June 30th, 2023?
Isn't that, I think that's when the cycle is usually through June, right?
Yeah, June 30, 2023. Okay, so do I hear any nominations for chair for the Economic Development Committee through June 30th, 2023?
John, just a quick question. If you don't mind, could you walk through, like, at very high level, what the responsibility of the chair or the co-chair would be, so that we just have an understanding on the commitment?
Sure. You'd be doing what I'm doing at this first initial meeting. You'd be setting the agenda. You'd be making sure that you follow the agenda. You'd be calling on each person to speak. And you would, usually the chair asks for motions from the other members of the committee, but doesn't actually make a motion himself or herself. So it's not like a huge time commitment, only in the sense that when you wanted to meet, you would have to probably work with me or Ms. Petty, setting the agenda and just, deciding what you wanted to talk about.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. So again, do I hear any nominations for chair of the Economic Development Committee for a term to end June 30th, 2023?
I mean,
I'll nominate Laura, yeah, if you're interested, Laura.
I was going to say I'd love to do it. I just didn't want to, I didn't want to roll over anybody if somebody else was so inclined. So I would love to do it. And I think, I just kind of, I've been feeling passionate about this. Like, I can't even tell you how thrilled I am to actually have people on board willing to work with diverse backgrounds, which I think is really going to serve us well. And then, of course, to have you, Deb, and I'm not just saying that because you nominated me.
No,
So I hear a nomination for Ms. Fitzgerald Kemet to be chair. And do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Geronitis. Are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, we'll put Ms. Laura Fitzgerald Kemet, her nomination to be chair of the Economic Development Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2023, to a vote. All those, please. Oh, actually, we're on Zoom, so we're going to have to go one by one on a roll call vote. So this is a vote to appoint Laura Fitzgerald Kemet, chair of the Economic Development Committee. Mr. Geronitis.
Yes, aye.
Aye. Mr. Kadali.
Aye.
Ms. Petty.
Aye.
Mr. Bathalon.
Aye.
And if I can vote, I will. If I can, I won't, but I say aye as well. So congratulations, Chairman. Do you want me to keep going, Laura, or you want to take over? Usually is where you take over.
Yeah, I'll step in, John.
Okay.
I feel your pain on this. So with that, we'll seek nominations for a vice chair. Did anybody want to throw out a nomination for that?
How about
can do.
Daniel? He seems energetic.
I would be happy to if so inclined.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Karan, and if I slaughter your name, please correct me.
That's
Otherwise, you're going to be, I'll be slaughtering it perpetually for the rest of your life. So,
fine. No problem. It's Kiran.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Kiran?
if Daniel is ready, I'm totally fine. Definitely not in a race. So if he's up for it, happy to support this group here.
Okay. So, did you want to second that then?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Then with that, we'll move to the vote, and we'll do roll call vote. Mr. Garanitis,
Aye.
Mr. Bathalon.
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Petty
Aye.
and Mr. Kadali
Aye.
and Ms. Kemet. I'm an aye. Okay. With that, we need a nomination for clerk. Anybody feeling clerkish? I mean, Karan or James, do you feel like you might want to do that, or?
At this point, I want to pass. I want to be part of the committee and be very active, but I want
Okay.
to take on the role right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would concur. I think I would pass it because I don't know the responsibilities honestly, but if it involves, typical clerk duties, which is like drafting stuff, and I might not have the bandwidth for that.
Well, actually, that's a great point. John, are we going to have somebody taking minutes for us?
Yes, as long as we meet in hours that someone can be here. Yes. So.
Well, I don't think we
Right.
need to meet in hours that we can be there, because can't the minutes be done based on the recordings?
Oh, yes, they can.
I'm just trying to give us a little bit of latitude, because I think, I can hear the hesitancy and and both of these gentlemen's, I think taking minutes and following up and doing all of that, because it is a committee technically that is a town administrators committee, like it's under your purview, it's under the selectmen. I think that it would behoove us to utilize Greer if we're able to. And I don't think she needs to participate in the meetings. We'll talk about people's availability and whether this time works, or going forward, if we need to do it at a different time, we'll try to be as flexible as possible to support everybody. But, I don't think Greer needs to physically be there. If she's able, great. If it's during regular business hours and she's got the bandwidth to do that. But otherwise, I think she could easily do the minutes from the recording, and she's going to pass them by the chair anyway to review before they go out to the rest of the committee. So I think we've got enough checks and balances there that it's not critical that she physically be part of the meeting.
Okay.
Do you guys feel okay with that, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I have had talked to Greer a little bit about this, and I have a new admin that we're training, and
Yes.
I even mentioned to her if if she might possibly want to learn how to do minutes, because I don't expect there to be tons of heavy lifting in these
No.
minutes.
Yeah.
So there might be an opportunity where we can use them and she can do them and train her to do some minutes, knowing that this was going to be, it's difficult. I struggle with minutes. I have a hard time participating and then doing minutes at the same time. Trust me, I've tried.
Oh, I have too, and it sounds easy, but it's like, you can't even remember what you just said enough to write it down. So,
Right. So
yeah.
my admin, if we get to a point, she may be able to actually, with the recordings, prepare the minutes. So between Greer and possibly my admin, we can get the actual minutes created. So, I mean, if you
Okay.
want me to be clerk, I can be clerk and oversee the minutes with whoever I have to work with.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm just a little conflicted, Deb. John, can we get a sanity check on whether Deb should be a voting member of the committee or?
Yeah, I don't, again, with myself and with Deb, I think it says that I'm an ex officio non-voting member. So even though I voted in the first one, I shouldn't have. That's okay. I can ignore that. And it just says that I can designate other members of professional staff to assist the commission as needed. But I don't think that we can vote. And I don't
Yeah,
think
so
we're
which of
not.
course means I'm not the chair, which means I shouldn't even be running the meetings right now. But so we may have to go back because I started thinking through this and I'm like, I think technically for any committee in town, it's got to be town, people that live in town to be voting members of that committee. I don't think we can allow non-citizens to be voting members. Hopefully that all made sense. But so I think we're probably going to have to go back and take the vote on who the chair is,
Yes.
just to clean it up.
Or either that, or I can withdraw my vote for you as chair.
Well, no, because Deb made the motion.
Oh.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we're doing everything right out of the gate.
So
Okay.
we need to make a motion again for you to be chair.
Or yeah.
I will make a motion for Laura to serve as chair until June of 23.
All right, thank you. Is there a second on that?
I second that.
All right, and sorry to torture you, but we're going to need to do a roll call vote on this again. So, Mr. Garanitis,
Aye.
Mr. Bathalon,
Aye.
Mr. Kodali,
Aye.
and Ms. Kemet, I'm an aye. Okay, great. So just a few little rules of engagement there. And then, Deb, have we, what's next on our agenda? I'm sorry, John, I'm jumping all around here.
The next thing is to discuss the committee's objectives. If you'd like.
All right, that's so I have it up. So the mission of the committee is to enhance the existing business community, attract new business, attract new customers, and encourage redevelopment and new development as may be advisable in order to increase the town's property tax revenues, income, job base, and overall economic health. So it says the commission will provide the Board of Selectmen and Planning Board with an overview of its activities as well as recommendations for any changes to the master plan or the bylaws of the town. The commission shall also seek the input of the planning board on any of its initiatives which impact the planning of the future physical development of the town and or which relate to new development projects. Further, the commission will work to identify any grants or awards that would support its mission. So that's an awful lot to unpack, as they say. And I think in looking at that, just so that you can kind of level set, Deb is our town planner. So, and Deb is very instrumental in working on grants. So I think in terms of, working to identify grants, Deb, I think you'd agree that we would kind of look to you for that portion of our mission, because you're kind of already doing that anyway as part of your job.
Right. And just, if I can just interrupt you. So I do,
Please,
I
yeah.
just, I just got a grant from OCPC to do a new master plan, which is outdated. I think it's 12 years old. So this will kind of go hand in hand with that, right? We'll be able to incorporate things from this committee into the new master plan. So that's kind of exciting for me because it'll, you know what I mean? It's one more piece of that puzzle.
So Deb, just for the uninitiated, if you could describe what the master plan is, and have we provided the master plan to everybody on the committee, John?
I don't
No,
believe so, no.
All right. Well,
no.
since it is part of our mission, I think it's critical that, that we make sure that we provide that to everybody. I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you, if we look across most of the committees and boards in town, I'm not sure how many people have actually read the master plan. And it's ironic because it really is the master plan. I mean, exactly as the name indicates, it gets into a great level of detail. Deb, did you kind of want to lay out the master plan? You're far
yeah.
more familiar with it than I am, but if you could describe it, that would be great.
I mean, the master plan does just charge where the town is heading, where we want to go. It's quite extensive, it's a large document, and it talks about housing. It talks about our traffic. It talks about a lot of different areas within the town. There's a baseline. It talks about demographics and where we're coming from, what our population is, where we're headed, what we're projected to be in 10, 15, 20 years from now. And then from that, it talks about, okay, what our housing needs will be, and how will we get there? What our economic growth will be, which is this piece, like I said, will fall right into this. So what do we want to see happen in Main Street? What do we want to see 10, 15, 20 years down the road on Main Street? What do we want to see on Liberty Street 10 or 15, 20 years down the road? What will our schools look like if our population increases, and how will we accommodate that? So it is definitely an all-encompassing plan for the town. And it comes together through committees. It's not something the planning board does unilaterally. It's something that, groups like this get together. In fact, with the new master plan, I'll be doing a lot of outreach and a lot of public events to try to get as much feedback from the people who live within the town of where they want to see their town going. So it is sort of that outline. Where are we today, and where are we heading, and where do we want to go, and how are we going to get there? So it's like I said, the current one was done in 2008, and there has been tremendous change since then. And just this COVID year has created a great deal of change. So I'm excited that we're going to have the opportunity to create a new one based on all the changes within the town. But this committee will blend right into that as well. So things that we come up with as a committee that you want to incorporate in the plan will be able to be incorporated. So that's very exciting, I think, that we're in tandem with this.
It is, because I think prior to this, Deb, I don't think that we really necessarily had a lens focused on economic development. I mean, it would come up in the ordinary course of conversations, but I don't think we ever really had a committee that was uniquely focusing on economic development. So I am excited that it, just happens to be working in tandem, and that's great that we're going to be, getting a cross-pollination of ideas and committees and perspectives to try to inform this as we have in the past. So which one of you, John or Deb, is going to take that as a to-do to make sure that we get the current master plan to everybody here?
I mean, I can look at it. I'm not even sure we have it digitally, so I have to figure that out. I might have it on.
Seen it on. Oh, sorry, Deb. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have maybe a disc. So I'm going to have to figure out. I don't believe my computer even takes discs anymore. So I don't know, John, if yours does in the office, but I do know where it is. I can get it on disc and get it to John. We'll figure it out anyway.
All right, well, if we can plane, train, or automobile scan it in, or hard copy it to people, or whatever it takes. But Dan, I'm sorry.
Yep. So when somebody sent over the survey for the meeting time, so we could all kind of pick a meeting time, there was an attachment on one of those emails, which was an 86-page document that sounds a lot like what you guys are describing. Is that the master plan?
No, that was the economic development plan that we had
Right.
done about a year and a half ago. I just figured I'd give you guys the precursor, what the firm that we brought in to look at our economic development came up with. I mean, honestly, there's nothing earth-shattering in that report, but I just thought it would be a good place for you guys to begin to just get a sense of where we're at more than anything. So you know, and what their suggestions were and what their studies show. The master plan is probably 300 or 400 pages long.
Yeah, but that economic development plan, we worked with OCPC on that, and it is helpful.
Yeah, it's a good beginning point, I think.
For sure.
One quick suggestion, Deb. I think if you plan to draft like a newer version of the master plan, one of the suggestions is if there's a way to synthesize that 80 or 100 or 300 page into like a 2 or 3 page that can highlight, the key points, I think that would be really helpful. Because what are we trying to achieve like in the next 5-10 years, however you like to highlight. But I think if it's a 2 or 3 page document, I think you will get more input from the majority of the people rather than like 200 or 300 page. That no one's going to read that entire 200 page, right? So
Right. I think people will struggle to get people to read 2 or 3 pages, but the
Yeah.
executive, so an executive summary type of thing, right?
exactly.
Okay, great. So John, what's next up on the docket?
The next thing on the agenda is discuss rapid recovery program plan facilitation technical award for consulting services. So I think that's Deb.
That is clearly Deb. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your Stantec thing, I think.
Yeah, so the state came out with a grant program, that is offering planning services to the town for towns that their small businesses have suffered due to the COVID. So I applied for the grant and I was awarded a grant, and it's not necessarily a monetary grant, although it says $30,000. It really is an award of a consultant. So they have given us a consultant, Santec, to come in to work with the town, not necessarily to do anything in particular, but to create plans for us to help our small businesses. So, there's things like I would like to maybe do a town webpage for the town businesses that they can get onto. I thought maybe we could help, and this is just my ideas going into the grant. So these don't mean anything. Once we sit with the consulting firm, we will have, we will be guided. They will help us guide towards things, but something like helping these small businesses get digitalized because they don't know how to use some of these digital platforms, and they can sell their stuff on digital platforms, but they don't even know where to begin with that. So is there some way we as a town can help these little small businesses get there? Just even if we came up with a pamphlet that tells them how to begin and how to do it. Maybe I know Laura in the town has fostered like a business day in the spring, usually the fall or the spring, I think. Something like that up Camp Kawani, maybe, where we have the cabins each represent a small business and we bring people for whatever business day. So I just have different ideas, but this firm is a planning firm. They're going to come in and the consultant and hopefully meet with this committee, I was hoping, and together we'll put together some ideas to help the small businesses overcome some of the hurdles they've had over the last year with COVID, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other ideas that come forth. But so that's a tool available to us. So I'm excited about that as well. Again, it can come at a perfect time for this committee to utilize them.
Do we have a small business association?
We do actually, Jim. I was just going to say that. It's not called a Small Business Association. Josh Singer of Edward Jones and I, probably about 6 years ago, I think, started the Hanson Business Network. And so we have a database of email addresses and people that have signed up. And I'd say at the core, we've probably got 20, 25 people that actively participate. But we've done things like during the COVID, we had calls with Josh Cutler and with banks about PPP, about some of the different things that were available to businesses. There's also a business network website, which I haven't checked recently, but it used to be on the Hanson town website to link back so that people could know about that. But another thing we had talked about, Deb, years ago, as the Hanson Business Network, was like a brochure to be given to new people that move to town that says, hey, here's all the fabulous businesses in Hanson that you could do business with. We never really got going on that because we ended up doing trainings and some other things, but that might be another, maybe do it digitally, online, and tell people, have a directory of, here's plumbers, here's gas stations, here's, whatever, fill in the blank on the businesses. Because I think people are inclined to try to do business with folks in their own hometown, but they don't always know who that is. And I see it all the time on social media. People are always like, hey, looking for a local X, Y, or Z. And so I think that's a way that we could really help. And I think in Hanson, a lot of our businesses are not brick and mortar businesses. They're like out of home, they're run out of people's homes, or they're digital or whatever. I can't remember the percentage, but I want to say roughly 80% of the businesses in Hanson are more like not brick and mortar, and either a guy in his truck or somebody out of their home. So I know that's more of an answer to the question you asked, Jim, but there you have it.
The reason I brought it up was I wanted to see, is there a website? I mean, you started something as opposed to recreating the wheel. I wanted to see what was there. So
Yeah.
we can look at, as we talk, how do we take advantage of what's there and build on it instead of building something completely different?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that group would be very, very, they'd be thrilled to have anybody willing to partner or do anything with them. As you can imagine, the last 6 months have been a little tricky getting together, but but it's a group that's done fundraising for the food pantry and giving back to the community in a host of different ways. So it's a good group of very dedicated people, and would like to expand it, Deb. And I think some of the things you suggested would be helpful. We want people to feel like, hey, I do business, and Hanson is a great place for me to stay or grow my business, or start a business. So those sound like great ideas, Deb.
Yeah.
Just one other thing on this. Right now, everybody, because I did it myself, went on to the Hanson Connect or one of the other Hanson pages. I got some projects I want to do here. I went out and asked them to do. And things are coming back. If we can take advantage of making this site something more where people can go to, it's also going to drive more people to more businesses want to be on it.
Yep. Yeah, you're right, Jim. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an area that I can help a lot in.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Dan, Corinne, any thoughts there?
No, I think that's great, Laura. I think it's really important, the resiliency and sustainability of small businesses in this current situation. I think critical. I know new business is something that we always want, but I think having supporting the existing small business is equally or even more important. I think this nicely aligns with that.
Yep, that's great.
Yes.
Dan, thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree. Since I've been in Hanson, I always try to find people local to Hanson, or, in or around Hanson, our neighbors, essentially, to Jim's point, that I always try to give business to rather than, a big business, so to speak. So I think any type of platform that we have, that, whether it's a new one or better an existing one, would be great.
Yeah, and Deb, something else to think about. We've got some they're not enormous businesses, but I think of like, Presidential Titanium or Sullivan's or, Walker Clay. And I don't think the town has reached out to them at all to find out how we can support them in growing or, whatever. And although they may be doing well, it seems to me as though, if you've only got a handful of, people who are employing people in town and paying, taxes, et cetera, like what can we do to help them too? Like, yes, the small guys, but I would really like to see what can we do to some of these, to help some of these medium and larger size businesses.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we just right now look at business in general and don't segment small, medium, or large as different entities. It's all, we have a business site, we have a business community, maybe
Yep.
we can break it down for deeper dives, but that makes a lot of sense, and I think that would attract them. Or what's the value to me?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Most businesses like to see like metrics in terms of how many people come to the site or whatever
Yes.
we use as a medium of communication. So whatever we build, I think we need to focus on metrics, saying that, hey, we have n number of followers, or we have so many people that are visiting the site, so that they really feel excited about it and they try to get themselves involved. If it's like a one-off page that no one is visiting or they're really not getting any benefit out of it, it would be a hard sell.
No, you're right. Try to get people to see what the value is for them of even bothering to connect with the site. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
It'll be as good as the people we can get excited about it. It's a chicken and egg. You can't get metrics until you have something for them to go look at.
Right. And usually I find if you can involve them in the process, then they'll be excited about it. So
Oh,
that
definitely.
we really probably need to do some business outreach
And
and
that's where I'm
grab it.
coming at, Deb, on the Presidential Titanium and
Right.
Sullivan's and those guys. The take up for the Hanson Business Network has been, like E.D. Jones and some other, landscapers and various other businesses, but we haven't gotten any of the bigger guys to join. And it may be because they're like, well, what is that little group going to do for us? So I do think we need to do some outreach there and find out what, is what we're doing going to meet their needs.
Well, I think we need their input, but because that's going to educate us on what they're thinking. So before
Exactly.
we put pen to paper, we should do these outreaches. Hey, we got this thing. What are you doing in this here? How can we help you? What are the things you would like to see added to this?
Yep.
Have that back and forth, and then we can build out a schedule of, okay, which way are we going to go with it? What do we do first? What do we do second? What do we do third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really a great point, Jim.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And to that point, do we have a database with all these emails for those, top
Yes.
businesses? And if that's the case, is there, who would reach out to them in this outreach program kind of we're discussing here? Would it be us? Would it be someone in the town? And then maybe they come to these meetings, and maybe a bunch of them come to this meeting and do a panel-like format, and we have very structured questions that we ask, and then just get their feedback in a very laid-back kind of no non-judgmental point of view, just to get their feedback, as James said, and then we go to the drawing board with what we want to create.
So that was a series of questions, and I must admit at this time of the day my ADD starts kicking in. But so I'd say the first question is there a database of email addresses? There definitely is. The Hanson Business Network built a MailChimp database. So we've got, and again, I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but it's a place to start. And I think one of the things we could do is, as we're kicking this off, maybe do a little bit of PR in the newspaper and on cable and say, hey, we're starting something. If you want to join us, come on board. And then maybe be a little bit more tactical and do some outreach to the companies I mentioned, some of the larger companies, because it would be virtually impossible for us to, call every single company. But we could certainly do something for, say, the the 10 largest, or I don't know, I'm making this up, but whatever the group decides. And in terms of who would reach out, I don't know if you guys have got any thoughts on that. I mean, I'd be more than glad to be part of,
I'd be more happy to do it. I mean, it sounds like we need to build a marketing plan And before we
Yes.
announce anything, I would suggest we take our top 10 and we go and talk to them.
Yep.
Not a group thing like that. Let's get a feeling so then we can have the outside, draft of a marketing plan that then we can talk to a broader group with. So
So I think what I'm hearing you say, Jim, is like, let's clarify what our vision is, what our mission is, what the proposition is that we're bringing, and then I think to Dan's point, I do like that idea, Dan, of on a variety of different levels, of having a panel. Because I like the idea of introducing businesses to one another, right? Because I don't even know, sometimes we may have businesses in town who have a need of a business to business relationship, but they don't even know who they could build that with. And also I like the idea of, giving people a format where they could tell us, publicly, like what it is that they're looking for. But I agree, Jim, I think in order to get to that place, we're going to have to do some preliminary prep work, and have those conversations with say like the top 10 or so, and kind of build a case of what we think people want.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you've got some documentation off of the Hanson Business Network that you set some objectives in what you were doing there. I think we take that as our baseline, but I would much rather go, if we're going to look at attracting much larger companies, they're going to have a different set of needs. They're going to have some of the same needs as small ones, but they're going to have some different ones, and some of them we can help. Okay, if it's going to be something that's business to business, or it's something that's going to enhance a broader base. Some of this may be, hey, if we can give them suggestions how to market themselves in their own venue, we're adding value to them from us. Okay, and that's going to make it easier for them to say, all right, I can do this stuff with you, and I can do this stuff here on my own. What I want to make sure is that we go in with what can we realistically do, and because people are going to ask us when we go out and talk to them, oh, I want a whole list of things. Okay, what are the top 5 things over the next period of time we want to focus on? Let's figure out what those 5 things are that will benefit the broadest business segments.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Laura,
Thoughts, Dan? Oh, Deb, yeah, sure. Shoot.
I don't have access to that database you're discussing. So something you can get to me?
It is something I can get to you. Yeah, you wouldn't have access to it because it's the Hanson Business Network database.
Okay.
So yeah, I will reach out to our database administrator and see if we can connect you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, down the line, things like I've done with the monkey surveys, is it? The surveys.
Survey Monkey? Yeah.
Yeah. That's when we get a little further down the line, that's a good tool to get information.
Yeah, we've done some of that. We have done some Survey Monkeys with the Hanson Business Network, trying to find out, like, what classes would you be interested in us, giving. So we've done some marketing classes, some social media classes, which should be mandatory for everybody. But anyway, that's a whole different story. And the like. And so and those were met with great success. We also had the Small Business Administration come and do a series for businesses on starting up a business. If you're a more mature business, some of their resources, grants, and that type of stuff. So I guess that's my long-winded way of saying that this group is definitely used to responding to Survey Monkey surveys. Yeah.
So just one thought as I read, sorry, Jim, but listen to what Jim was saying, if I kind of heard him correctly, and then going back to our mission statement, right? I feel like we have an opportunity for a total 360 marketing plans / business plan. So thinking about what Jim was saying in our mission statement, 1, so like step 1 would be, how do we continue to grow existing business? 2, how do we link business to business to help grow them and network those business? And then 3, generate new business in the town.
Yep.
And then all encompassing for a total plan, just like that.
all of which is extremely overwhelming. Each one of them by themselves is an extremely overwhelming task. So we're just going to have to, you know, break it down into micro steps and leverage this consultant. So speaking of the consultant, Deb, so what are our terms of engagement with this person? Like how much time do we have? What can we ask
Yeah,
them to do?
I
Like,
don't have any of that. I knew we were awarded it probably a month ago when I reached out and said, let's get this committee going because I don't want to do this stuff in a vacuum. But tomorrow is like a webinar with them, so I'll know more tomorrow I think at 3 o'clock. I'm on with them, so I'll find out some more information.
okay, good. That
And
sounds
I
great.
can follow it up, once I know. I just know it's coming. And, we got the award and then they actually assigned the actual consultant last week, which is
Okay, because I mean, what we've discussed is rather bigger than a bread box. And I think I want to make sure that we succeed. So I don't want to have too broad of a focus.
I was going to say it will definitely be less broad to work with this consultant. This consultant is really, it's a planning consulting to help us plan to help business recovery. So we probably want to I focused on a lot of the hardest hit sort of small businesses, such as the restaurants, which we
Definitely.
know that they suffered greatly. And how can we support them moving forward? And just in general, even we have some little tiny, storefront type things. A couple of the storefronts I noticed have closed and now they're empty. So also, how do we bring back business? How do we bring people to the storefronts? So I will have more information after tomorrow. I'll share everything that I can with the committee once I meet with them tomorrow. And I don't even think I'm meeting with Santec tomorrow. I think it's just an overall, okay, here we are. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to move forward.
Okay, because I think that's going to be important, right? So that we understand what resources are available to us as a team. And then we start defining roles and responsibilities and mapping out, our project plan.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is sort of going to be like a subset of what we're doing. As a whole, we're looking at economic development for the entire town, all areas. This is sort of a subset of that. Like, what was the most hard hit, and how can we better prepare them even for a future pandemic? Like I said, digitalization and things like that. Can we help them? Can we set up support for them in those areas?
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So, because what I don't want to do is be a committee in perpetuity that never gets anything accomplished.
Yeah, well, these
Right.
will probably be very short-term goals, right? So right out of the gate, these will be short-term things that we will try to accomplish in terms of our local businesses. I mean, even things like I was thinking we could have like a food fair up at Camp Kawani where the local restaurants come and present their food, that type of thing to just show people, hey, this is what we've got, you know what I mean? Or competition, something fun like that. It would be fun and it would get the local restaurants there and just that kind of thing. And that's sort of just basically because of the COVID, these businesses have been hard hit. Let's try to get them going. Let's try to get people utilizing them again, just kind of get the wheels turning here again as COVID sort of subsides. So, but it's not the broader economic for the whole entire town. How do we get businesses down Main Street? It's not going to be that focus. So this will be short-term, short-lived, and we will have to come out with, I can share you the grant application where I came up with different points and what I thought our deliverables would be at the end of this. One of the things was a pamphlet, like you were saying, Laura, earlier, like, okay, how do you start a business in Hanson? Where do you even begin? What permits do you need? What boards do you have to go in front of? Just step like 1 through 10. How do you do it? Because, that's how small businesses get started. And I thought if we can help them, out of this whole pandemic too, we're going to see more online businesses, more local businesses. So putting together just that pamphlet maybe is one piece of this, and getting the network maybe really honed in to be in conjunction with the town, because it sounds like the business network is established, but it's not established where we're not working together in tandem on any level. At least maybe you are, Laura, as you know, but I don't feel like in the town we are working with them. So we really need to establish those relationships, I think, so that if a business and they have a need, they can come to us, and vice versa. I know in my town, the small businesses here support a lot of the stuff that goes on in this town, like our fireworks and our any kind of gathering that we need money for. The small businesses pay for it all, and it's not,
Yeah.
it's really awesome. We have some awesome stuff here because of the small businesses, and they write the checks pretty willingly. So I would hope to see we could do something where it will be beneficial for both sides of the businesses themselves, but also the residents, where we're going to see some value and some neat things come out of it too. So I think that relationship needs to be a little bit more fostered. So, but this will be short-lived, and we will have deliverables at the end of it.
Well, Hanson Day was being run by the Hanson Business Network, and we only had 2 years of it. It was pretty successful, and it did help showcase some of the businesses around,
Right.
including restaurants. But of course, we got waylaid as everything else did by that shall not be named. I think, and then in terms of, the Hanson Business Network every year does a St. Patrick's Day fundraiser expressly for the food pantry, and has done some other fundraising activities for, different groups in town, PTO and the food pantry primarily. But I think you're right. People that do business in town, at least my experience has been, most of them feel an obligation to give back to the town they're doing business in. So I think people would welcome that synergy. So what I'm hearing you say, Deb, is that in the short term for this grant, we're looking at how do we help businesses that have been hit by COVID get back on their feet, or at least help in some way. And then more
Correct.
long term, we're looking at how do we revitalize that thing that we all cringe when we drive by, otherwise known as Main Street.
Correct.
Okay.
Laura, for the business network, do they have a committee set up, or do they have their own chairman and all of that? I'm on their website. And the reason I ask
Yeah.
is this is a nice website for starting out, but I think with the number of companies we have on there, and what I believe these businesses are going to be asking us for, we can make some really easy but major steps on this to drive more people into it and let them go off and attract other people. But I think we can help them on the presentation and the marketing of themselves.
Yep.
and all of that. So it's
Yes, there is a core, I'd call it a steering committee is what I would call it. It's not a formal, we don't have like a chair or anything of that sort, but Josh Singer kind of heads it up, and then there's a group of us that willingly support. When I got elected to selectman, I had been running it, but when I got elected to selectman, I decided I needed to free myself up and just play a supporting role. So I do that, and Josh leads it. So we can definitely connect, because I know people that know people, so we're good on that. Yeah.
Oh, good. I mean, no, this is cool. And great picture of you, by the way.
Oh, I can only imagine. I have not looked on there, so great. I'm really looking forward to it.
No, it's a good start, and it looks like they want to reach out to also Pembroke, Whitman, and East Bridgewater, or the surrounding towns if you're a business owner. Yeah.
Well, because we kind of got people saying, well, is it strictly like, at the exact border of, and then we were like, this is ridiculous, because, people, yes, it's primarily to support people that do business in Hanson, but we recognize your customer base may be outside of Hanson. And so, but I don't think that really got too much traction. So more on that. So if you'd like, at some point I could have Josh Singer join us and talk to you guys about the Hanson Business Network and what we've done and all of that.
That would be good.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll have more information tomorrow on that grant, and I will share.
All right, that sounds good. John, what do we get next on the docket?
The next thing was to schedule future meetings, and then after that is adjournment.
Okay, so perfect. So, guys, just let me know, what is your availability? Did the time that we meet, the day that we met, like Mondays at 4:45, does that work? Would you prefer something a little later? Just kind of let me know where you're at with that so that we can make sure that we're, being supportive of your other needs.
All right, first off, how frequently do we want to meet?
Well, Deb, I guess I would, what's our time frame on utilizing this consultant? Like, is it a fast and furious type of
Yeah, it's probably
situation
gonna
or?
they're gonna want to get going. I don't know if they're gonna want to get going. I don't know if every 2 weeks is too much for you guys right in the beginning, but I think we have a lot of legwork to get through to just hone in on our sort of where our direction. And I can do as much legwork, outside as I can, but I don't know, I'm thinking every 2 weeks right in the beginning. But again, I'll have more information after tomorrow.
All right, how does that resonate with you guys? Corinne, like, what are you thinking? Every 2 weeks? Are you screaming, oh, this isn't what I signed up for, or,
Yeah,
you
no.
know?
Initially, I think I understand since we're bringing in some external consultants. Yeah, I understand the need. I'm fine with that for the first few months, for the 2 week.
Okay. And we'll play it by ear. I'm not going to meet just for the sake of meeting because we said we're going to meet every other week. I want to make sure we're using all of our time as best we possibly can and efficiently. So, if we've got, for instance, a to do, and for whatever reason, Deb hasn't finished it or the consultant hasn't finished it, then we'll take a pass on the meeting. I'm not going to just meet for the sake of meeting. So, I think I would defer to Deb. I think she's probably giving us pretty good advice, meeting every other week. And we'll say every other week for the first couple of months, and then we'll revisit it probably in May and see what we're looking at, because we're going to be going into summer months. And I don't want to lose momentum. I do think we still need to meet, but perhaps we don't need to meet every other week once, we're in this, summer time frame. Dan, thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm committed. So if it's once a week, every 2 weeks, every other day, I mean, you guys tell us, well, what we need to meet to get it done. I would just ask, listening relentlessly to all of the school committee meetings, all the meetings that they have seems like there was a lot of talking for a couple hours and then they leave without a call to action, or nothing really came from it. Then the next meeting starts up and it's the exact same thing over again. So I would just maybe recommend that we leave with a call of action, one thing that we're going to follow up on at the beginning of the next meeting. And that way we're always moving towards something and not just meeting and talking.
I think that's fantastic, Dan.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. Yep.
Tim, thoughts?
No, I think that's awesome. I'm flexible in the meeting times. I just, I have my board, I have all the other boards, so I just have to work around them. The planning board, the park committee, the energy committee.
Right, but none of them are as important as us, Deb. So
That's true.
and Jim, thoughts?
I'm good as long as it's like a consistent time and 2 weeks at the beginning, and I think it's right. We schedule for 2 weeks. If we're in a meeting and we don't have something, all right, we leave it scheduled, but we don't get together. We can work that. And I think that that's great. I just ask that whatever time we pick, we try to keep it consistent as long as possible.
Okay,
So
did this work for everybody? I mean, did the 4:45 time work, or do you want to push it a little till 5, and because you're officially off the clock at 5? I don't know, whatever. I don't know what people's, situations are.
It works for me, Laura.
Okay.
Same.
All right. Jim, same or?
Off the clock, what's that? I thought we're always on the clock.
All right. Well, so John, does this work for you?
I'm here whenever I'm needed, so don't worry about that.
Well, I mean, I don't want every Monday to be a torture for you because you're saying, like, are you going to change up your hours a little bit? Because,
No, I can stick around. This isn't bad at all. It's not like we're going to go till 9 o'clock.
Okay,
So,
no, we won't. And that's what I was going to say is we will definitely, I know we broke this this today, but I will try like hell to make sure that we are as efficient as possible in an hour. Because honestly, a lot of times if it gets past an hour, it's like you're just chopping broccoli and not even making any sense. And so um, so I think we'll try to stick to that. Obviously, once we get with the consultant, he may need to spend time with with us. But I'm all about making the most efficient use of our time. So Deb, with that, I think to be responsive to Dan's to-dos, which I love. I think our to-do is we've got to get the master plan to everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay, by plane, train, or automobile, whatever it takes, and then I think the other to do is to you're going to get some clarification and clarity around what kind of resource we've got in this consultant, what kind of hours and all of that. And then we'll plan on meeting in 2 weeks. And was there anything else that people thought we needed to do in the in between times?
No, Laura, you're gonna get me the whatever network you have that.
Yes, I'll get you the chimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. The MailChimp. I don't know why everything's named after monkeys. Survey Monkey, MailChimp. Anyway, but
So
I'll
two
get you
weeks
the.
from
Yeah.
today. Okay. Yeah, I want to find out
Um,
where Kevin is and why he's not here too, because he actually owns a small business and I really think he's valuable and I want to make sure that he gets included. So I want to make sure that there isn't a reason why he's not here, if it's a timing thing or whatnot. So I'll touch base with him.
okay, yeah, that sounds great because he seemed extremely motivated. He may just have had something that came up tonight. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
all right. Well, with that, I will entertain. So the next meeting will be 2 weeks from tonight, which will be the 22nd, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, and at 4:45, and we'll have a an agenda and invite sent out. Jim, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, are we gonna set up a mail group? So if we're sending stuff, we can just send it to one group, or we do that on our own, just because I see a lot of names across. I don't want to forget somebody if I'm rushing.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be because we have to be careful because we're a town committee, and so just so that you know, we're how many members are we? One technical voting members. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voting members. So if more than 2 of us talk about anything, then it would be a violation of open meeting law. So we have to, and that includes electronic emails. So we've got to be careful
More than
that,
2. Okay.
yeah. So your best bet is to really probably direct it through to our administrative assistant, Greer,
Yeah.
or to me, and I'll ask Greer to disseminate it to everybody. And in her email, she'll do the same thing that she does to the selectmen, which is she says, "Hey, I'm sharing this, but please don't deliberate and make any comments electronically about this because it would be a violation of open meeting law." And have you guys all done your ethics training and open meeting law stuff? I don't.
Yes.
Okay. All right. If not, make sure you do it.
I don't
Uh,
think I did it. Was there
okay.
an email sent out, Laura, on that?
Greer should have sent it out to you when you were
Okay.
appointed. There should have been a little packet, but if not, John, do you mind following up just to make sure that Jim and Dan both got it, but I don't know about Kevin and Corinne, so if you can make sure that they get that. It's not brain surgery. Honestly, you'll be like, really, we've got to go through training on this. This is very basic, things like don't
Sure.
take
You can do it at
bribes,
work.
I mean, you know, um,
Sure.
Yeah. Kevin has done his for the planning board, so he's all
okay.
set.
All right. So, John, if you could just follow up and make sure that Mr. Kadali gets that too, that would be great.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All right, so our next meeting will be the 22nd at 4:45. But to answer your question, Jim, Jim and Dan and Corinne, if you guys, I'm sure we're going to run across times when we see what other towns are doing, or we have ideas, or whatever, and definitely share them in advance of the meeting. Just send them to me or send them to Greer, and we'll make sure that the rest of the group gets them for their consideration and review before we meet.
Sure.
So this is exciting. It's great to have all of you guys, involved and engaged and, willing to put in the time. And I thank you for stepping up.
Yeah, I'm excited to get going, for sure.
All right. Well, have a good couple of weeks, and we'll see you guys on the flip
Well,
side on the
just,
22nd.
Laura, if you
I need I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mr. Garinitis,
Aye.
Mr. Bathalon,
Aye.
Mr. Kadali,
Aye.
and Ms. Kemet, aye. All right, guys, take care and stay safe.